A nurse in Italy has been arrested on suspicion of killing up to 38 patients. Investigators believe Daniela Poggiali gave lethal injections of potassium chloride to patients she found difficult or whose relatives were demanding. Staff noticed an abnormal number of deaths connected with the nurse.
This is the sick case of Italian nurse Daniela Poggiali, who was suspected to have killed up to 96 patients, then mocking them by posing next to their dead bodies, all because they annoyed her. Daniela Poggiali, born in 1972 at a small town in northern Italy named Faenza, in a commune of under 60,000 people. Daniela Poggiali, now aged 53, gained global attention when disturbing self-portraits surfaced, showing her grinning beside the lifeless body of an elderly woman. Initially, investigators suspected Daniela Poggiali of administering potassium chloride, a substance used in lethal injections in the United States. The figure started at 38 patients, but this was later increased to 96 patient deaths under her watch at Umberto I Hospital in Lugo over the past 2 years. They are concerned she may have been responsible for as many as 3 deaths in a single day. If she was convicted of anywhere near 90 murders, Poggiali, who has been a healthcare worker for 17 years, would go down in history books as the most prolific serial killer nurse in the world. Investigators claim that the alleged murders committed by Poggiali were not a twisted version of euthanasia, but rather the actions of a megalomaniac with a god complex. Nevertheless, authorities stated that Poggiali has no documented history of mental illness and does not exhibit any characteristics typically associated with psychopathy. In addition to the disturbing accusations, police also suspected that she stole cash and belongings from her vulnerable elderly patients while planning their deaths, reportedly because they annoyed her. Miss Poggiali, who was captured in a photograph laughing as she was escorted handcuffed into court, maintained her innocence regarding the murder charges, alleging that she was the target of a vendetta by a disgruntled colleague. She went so far as to file a lawsuit against the hospital for wrongful termination. Meanwhile, Daniela Poggiali is receiving numerous letters from admirers and even marriage proposals while in prison. Her case has garnered interest from individuals who were once supporters of Amanda Knox, now redirecting their attention to the captivating killer. Shockingly, it appears that some colleagues were not blind to the coincidence of her presence during many hospital deaths, as this issue was openly discussed among them. One nurse, Sarah Pausini, confessed to the Italian Carabinieri, stating, "We had for some time been talking about Poggiali and about the strange number of dead patients, even 3 on the same day." According to the arrest warrant, she remarked, "When I went to work with her, I began to count the strange number of deaths to see if it was by bad luck or something else." Records indicate that Miss Poggiali was present at twice the frequency of any other nurse, and up to 4 times the average during her final 4 months at the hospital. Particularly concerning are the 3 unexplained deaths under Miss Poggiali's care within a 24-hour period on the night of March 31st and April 1st. Prosecutors classified all 3 deaths as highly suspicious. In the distressing instance involving victim Oriana Crica, who passed away on March 31st, an unnamed nurse was summoned to attend to the elderly woman after her nasal feeding tube started leaking onto the pillow. The nurse was occupied with a complex procedure on another patient, prompting Miss Poggiali to offer to handle it herself. Shortly after, the patient passed away, reportedly in agony, as stated in the arrest warrant. 2 additional patients died under Miss Poggiali's care on April 4th and 5th. Despite autopsies conducted by doctors, no abnormalities were detected. Investigators suspect that after this sequence of deaths, Poggiali may have felt invulnerable to detection. However, there were already significant suspicions surrounding her potential involvement. After being transferred from the night shift to the morning shift for closer observation by doctors, she allegedly continued her actions. The prosecutor in the case claims she saw the extra scrutiny put on her as a kind of challenge. The prosecutor stated, "We retain that she thought she was so clever, so cunning that she could kill in the daytime, right under everyone's noses. She had a sense of power which made her feel capable of doing whatever she wanted, even in the sense of taking someone's life. She felt omnipotent like a god. This was her mistake." On one occasion, she had even felt safe enough to joke about her murder method with colleagues, as she joked to a doctor and said, 2 vials of potassium, and it would all be resolved. A doctor at the hospital said, "Our investigation shows that between 2012 and 2014, 93 patients in her care died. The nearest of her colleagues to that figure was 45. All the other nurses were present at less than 30 deaths. We don't have proof that all these patients were murdered, but nevertheless 93 is a disturbing number. Another case involved 78-year-old Rosa Calderoni in her hospital bed, with her daughter Manuela Alci by her side. Her daughter was told to leave the room by Daniela Poggiali, as she had things to do. After 10 minutes, daughter Manuela came back into the room and saw there was a small glass file attached to her mother, which wasn't there 10 minutes before as she left the room. Moments later, she noticed her mother started twitching manically and that her eyes started rolling back. A few minutes later, Manuela's mother was pronounced dead, and that 2 vials of potassium chloride had suspiciously gone missing from the hospital. Potassium chloride is extremely difficult to detect, as it is gone from the body within a few hours. Luckily, on this occasion, doctors quickly tested the elderly woman's aqueous humor, which is in her eyeball where it is easiest to detect. In the aqueous humor, they discovered a quantity of poison sufficient to induce a heart attack. Additionally, they uncovered a syringe, which had previously contained potassium, in a disposal unit. Believing they finally had sufficient evidence of a murder, they finally reported Poggiali to the police. This is where they found sickening images on Daniela Poggiali's phone. In the first, she is grinning and giving a thumbs up while standing victorious over the obviously dead body of an elderly woman. In the second, she is lying back with her mouth open in a cruel imitation of the woman's dying position. The colleague that took them later described her mood as euphoric. Poggiali wrote under the picture on WhatsApp, life and death. The police are so disturbed by the distressing nature of the pictures that they find it difficult to inform the victim's family that she is the individual depicted in them, which were leaked to the press earlier in the week. Dr. Mancini expressed shock at the horrific images, describing them as displaying pleasure, satisfaction, euphoria, and stated that he had never encountered anything of this nature in his career. Poggiali's colleague, who took the pictures, later asserted that she did so out of fear of Poggiali's vengeful disposition. Other nurses alleged that she would administer additional laxatives to patients to create issues for the next staff member on duty. Furthermore, they asserted that Poggiali would administer sleeping medications to patients to ensure a tranquil night shift for herself. A colleague, who stated that she had observed Poggiali stealing patients' personal belongings, informed the police that she discovered a funeral bouquet tied with a black ribbon on her car's bonnet in a mafia-style warning. In fact, Poggiali was described as a compulsive thief and is alleged to have stolen various items from patients, including amounts up to €100, as well as toiletries such as soaps and shower gels, and even drugs like antibiotics from the hospital. According to police, there were 12 confirmed incidents of theft during her 12 years at the hospital, though numerous other thefts remained unexplained. Remarkably, she was regarded as an exceptional nurse, known for her competence and efficiency. However, Sarah Pausini informed the police that Poggiali could be harsh towards patients with challenging conditions, especially those who were agitated, requested additional assistance or medication, or had difficult relatives who voiced complaints. At home, her demeanor was equally intimidating. According to friends, her boyfriend, mechanic Luigi Confeconi, with whom she resided in a council flat between Bologna and Ravenna, appeared to be dominated by her. When she was arrested by the police, one officer stated, "She didn't react like a normal person. She was calm. She didn't bat an eyelid while her boyfriend burst into tears saying, 'I don't believe it.'" Poggiali is said to be unfazed by prison where she must be enjoying a certain notoriety. She has been inundated by love letters and offers of marriage. On October the 25th, after serving 1,000 days in prison, Daniela Poggiali was freed from any wrongdoing. However, she was expelled from ever practicing as a nurse ever again. This was due to the image of the 102-year-old patient she mocked. When released from prison, she said to the press, "Now I want to think a little about myself, enjoy my family. Then one day, I'd like to go back to my job. Hope is always the same." Furthermore saying, "This affair has brought me pain, but it has not taken away the belief that I am a good nurse and that I can do my job again, as I did before. I feel good. I have been in my family. I am slowly regaining possession of my freedom and that incredible flavor that freedom has after more than 10 months locked in a prison." After 1,000 days in the cell and a first acquittal, the Supreme Court had overturned that sentence and she was back in custody on Christmas Eve 2020. "I'm slowly resuming normal everyday things and I'm trying to get back into my daily life. What do you think about this? With so much evidence against her, why wasn't she given a much tougher sentence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.